Oh, yeah, sure. Morning guys, I hope you can all hear me. My name's Simeon, I'm from LettingHQ, and today I'll be taking you through LettingCheck. My best advice would be to turn the YouTube video into 1080p, and that's going to ensure that the videos are the highest quality. I'll be showing you how to do an inventory, starting with the check-in report, moving through to a midterm inspection, and through to the very end of a tenancy as the tenant wants to move on, and of course needing to do a checkouts report. Okay. So once again, I'll just start by going over the main pages, and then we'll go into the process of actually doing an inventory with LettingCheck. I'll also be giving away a coupon code at the end, which is going to give you 50% off for the first 2 months that you use LettingHQ, so stick around for that. Okay, we'll start by logging in. And straight away, we're taken to the LettingHQ dashboard. Now, these are all the products that you would use under LettingHQ. However, obviously, you're just going to be using LettingCheck for now. But just for reference, LettingFix is our repair reporting solution, which makes it easier for tenants to report repairs and for you to manage them as well. Okay, so let's start by logging into LettingCheck. And straight away, we're taken to this screen. So if we click Inventories or LettingCheck, we're taken to this, and this is a list of all of our inventories in chronological order. We have the option to edit on the right and to add a new inventory on the left. If we head over to properties, it's much the same. If we click the green box on the right, we can view, edit, add a property photo, or archive the property on the right. We can also add a property on the left. With landlords and tenants, we have a few more basic details. So for example, the email address and the telephone number. Now, these templates are where you would store your company, different companies' branding, and I'll go into this a bit later, but this is how you add a new company. You would simply click Create Template. But once again, I'll go through this when the time comes. Okay, so let's head back over to Inventories, and we're going to start a new report from scratch. So we'll select 13 Greywater Lane, we'll call it a check-in, and for now we're going to ignore inventory templates, but we are going to select a design template. So let's select Accents Homes, and again, bear this in mind, and we'll come back to this later. So we'll save the inventory. And this is basically like a blank slate on which you're going to add all the rooms and items in the inventory. Okay, so let's start by adding an entry. We're looking in this grey box on the top left. So let's click that. And the first room that we're going to select is a bathroom. Now you'll notice that we don't allow any typing in of descriptions, and this is purely for consistency throughout the report. Oftentimes people use different phrases to describe the same item. So for instance, I might call something a table and you might call it a work surface. So it just helps avoid that. Now in the bathroom, the first item that I'm going to add is a bath. And I'll say it's in perfect condition and there's no damage. If there is something that you need to put that you can't in these boxes, then you can also add item notes as well. We can also add some fixtures and fittings. But first we'll add the damage type, which is not applicable. So we can add as many fixtures and fittings as we like. Obviously, the more expensive the deposit, then the more likely we are to go into much more detail in the inventory. For example, if it was something like £300 deposit, then it's not really going to be worth spending hours and hours of time writing it up. Whereas if it's something more like £3,000, then we can definitely afford to spend much more time on the inventory. Okay, so once we've added a few of those, we can save the item. And that's going to take us back to this page. If we want to add a photo, we're looking at this green box on the right, and we just click Add Photo. Now, if you were using this on your phone or tablet, which would be the case if you were doing an inventory, then this would take you to your camera roll or your library. However, as I'm doing this on my desktop, it's taking me to my documents. Okay, so let's add a picture of the bath, and once we've seen a green tick, we know that it's uploaded. So we can click close. Now I'm going to add a new entry, and again we're looking at add an entry on the top left. Now you'll notice instead of having to scroll through this big list of rooms, I can simply look at the existing rooms at the very top and select bathroom. This time I'm going to add a sink, and this time we'll say it's in poor condition, very damaged, and the damage type is chipped. I'm not going to add as many fixtures and fittings this time, we'll just add 2, and again we'll save the item. And we'll add a photo. Again, taking us to our documents, but if we're using this on the app, then it's going to take us to our camera roll. Again, once we've seen the green tick, it's uploaded, so we can click close. So now we know how to do some basic item adding. We can save ourselves lots of time and add a property template. Now what I mean by that is if we go back to inventories and start an inventory from scratch, select the same property, and again it's a check-in, but this time from this templates list I'll select a 2-bedroom bungalow. Once again adding the design template accent homes. Save the inventory, and it's going to take us into it straight away. The only changes that have been made are that it's added all the rooms and items commonly found within a 2-bedroom bungalow. So for example, it's added the bathroom, 2 bedrooms, a dining room, a hallway, a kitchen, a living room, and a front and back garden. Not only that, it's also added the items commonly found within those rooms. So for instance, if we scroll for the very top, within the bathroom it's added the bath, toilet, but also in all the rooms it's added the floors, the walls, and the ceilings. So it just saves us from doing that ourselves. Okay, so all we'd have to do now is change the conditions if needed and add the photos as well. You will be able to add your own templates in case it's not on our list. It would simply be a case of scrolling to the very top, adding a new room, and then selecting create templates from inventory, and then you could use that that property type as many times as you needed. So like I said, all we'd have to do now is add the items that maybe weren't included in the template, as well as the conditions and the images. So let's say the tenant's lived in the property for 6 months now, and we want to do a midterm inspection. Now again, we could start a report from scratch, and we could even use a template, and that would save us a lot of time. But I'm going to take advantage of duplication. Now what this does is make an exact copy of the report that I'm on now. So again, we're looking at this grey box on the top left, but instead we're going to click duplicate inventory. So I'm going to change the report type to an interim, and I've also got some options so I can duplicate the entries, the variation options, photos, and the keys. But for now, these work for me, so I'm just going to click duplicate. So this is just going to take us back into the report, which is exactly the same as the one we were just on. Again, all we'd have to do is add new photos and change the conditions. So it's just taken all that hard work out for us. So let's say another 6 months has passed now, and that of course and the tenant wants to move out. That of course means that we'll have to do a checkouts report. And again, we can do that in exactly the same way as before, simply scrolling to the top and clicking duplicate inventory. We'll simply change this to checkout, and this time I'm going to duplicate the entries but not the variation options, and I will duplicate the photos. So once that's done, again, it's just going to copy all the work that we've just done over to the checkouts report. Okay, so that's done. Now once we've completed the reports, so we've done the check-in, the midterm inspection, and the checkout, we're of course going to want a PDF generation of it. And that is simple to do. We can simply head back over to inventories, or we could click downloads and download the PDF from here. But this time I'm going to head back over to inventories, and depending on which report we want, we can click the green box on the left. As this is the last one that we've done, I'm going to click that, and it's going to take me to this screen. So this is where the company branding comes in. You saw that we applied the Accent Homes template, so it's added the company logo at the top. We've also got the property location and the property photo on the first page. Let's scroll a bit further down now, and we've got the table of contents, the terms and conditions, and we'll eventually come to the items within the inventory. We've also got a list of the meter readings, which I mentioned earlier, and the keys. Finally, we have the inventory items. So within the bathroom, for instance, we have the window, ceiling, walls, etc. But we also see that in red, this signifies that an item's in poor or bad condition, whilst in green, that means in perfect or good condition. Makes it a lot easier to read. On the right, we have the photos, whilst on the left, we have the item and the description. Let's scroll even further down now. Obviously, we've gone into a bit more detail in some of these items than others. Scroll even faster, and we'll eventually come to property photos. So the property photos are numbered, which makes it a lot easier for referencing. So for instance, the item for this photo would be 1.1, and we have the picture as well, which is 1.1. Let's scroll even faster now. We have the tenant agreement, and we finally come to the comparison report. So a good example of what a comparison report does is with the meter readings. What it basically does is tracks the changes that have gone on during a tenancy. So for instance, the gas reading at the check-in was 1,000, and at the checkout it's increased to 3,000. I think the best example of comparison reports though is with the items. So for instance, in the bathroom, listed below are all the items that have changed condition during the tenancy. Here we have the toilet, which was in perfect condition, and now due to deterioration it's in poor condition because it's chipped. Also in the bedroom we have the door, the window. Some of these are just due to fair wear and tear, we can see. Obviously they were in perfect condition, now they're just in good condition. Last example is with the back garden. The lawn was in perfect condition, and now clearly we can see in the picture it's in poor condition. So now at the very bottom of the report we've got the repair history. Now this is something I mentioned earlier with LettingFix. You would get this if you were using LettingFix. But basically what it does is it tracks all the repairs that have gone on during the tenancy. So for example, this second repair, which has got pictures in the bathroom, it was a toilet and the basin on the pedestal. We can see the picture from before and after. The green again signifying that the problem has been resolved. But if we scroll even further down, we'll come to a red problem. And this signifies that the problem is still outstanding. So again, it just takes a lot of the hard work out for us. We don't have to look through both systems. It's simply there for us to see instantly. And that just about wraps everything up. I hope all that made sense. If you do have any questions, you can drop me an email, simeon@lettinghq.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. The coupon code that I mentioned earlier is HQ2 months, all in capitals. And again, that's going to give you 50% off for the first 2 months of LettingHQ or LettingCheck, depending on which package you decide to use. Again, this is recorded, so you will be able to watch it again. Maybe I spoke too quickly or you misunderstood something. So there is the opportunity to do that. Okay, thanks for listening, and I'll see you again soon.